Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back. So today I'm going to be playing around with a new Medite kit, some metallic paints, and we're going to get a little bit steampunky. Okay, so I've pretty much gathered everything I'm going to need here. So this is the new Medite kit. Let me take it out from the plastic bag because otherwise the lights are going to just shine too much on it. They're going to reflect. Okay, so this is how you'll get your shrine kit. So that's the home shrine. So this was based from a project I saw from a chap on Instagram called Terry Garrett, who lives in Albuquerque in the US. Now Terry did some paper versions and he also used, I think, bits of wood and old picture frames for the top part of his shrines. Now he called his tutelary deities, which basically means home gods. So, but you can make these little shrines into anything you want. You can put your family members on there or pets or whatever, or just have a bit of fun like I'm going to do with it today. So it comes in this 3mm Medite sheet. It's tabbed, so it will just pop out for transport. Let me just have a mouthful of coffee. Just to lubricate the old throat, if you know what I mean. So the kit can be done in two different ways. You can have it freestanding, so that it can sit on a shelf or a bookshelf or a mantle or whatever, by using the stand, which are these two pieces here. Or you can hang it on a wall by using the wall hanging mechanism, which are these three pieces here. So these two pieces, one gets stuck either side of that, and then they get stuck on the back of the shrine, and that bit there is for your wall hook. So that will stick. Let me just grab one here, look. So imagine that will go behind there to hang on the wall. So you've got two different options for displaying your shrine when it's complete. So I'm going to do mine so that it goes on the wall. So I'm not going to use the two stands. The other bits are just pure decoration. So the archway or the top of the shrine, because you've got two different levels, you can either put a diamond shape on that, or you can put a star. I think I'm going to put a star because that's the way I'm feeling today. So first things first, let's just pop out the actual shrine shape itself. So it's fairly easy to pop out. There's not a huge amount of tabs. I just put my nail on the edge. Oh, so get rid of that. We're not going to need that bit. There we go. So that's one bit. So then we're going to need these two rectangular pieces, like so. So they'll just pop out as well. And we'll need these two angle pieces there because they're for the roof line. There we go. Just push that through, and then there. If you want to know where the tabs are, just hold it up to the light and you can see exactly where the tabs are in the set. So that's going to be the wall hanging mechanism. I could have left that actually stuck in the sheet until I was finished. There we go. And then we've got the stars. So there's two little stars. So the way I'll show you how I'm going to do those. And then we've got these little squares here. So they're going to be decorations for the roof. Sorry, not the roof, the base of the shrine. So this is a kit I've been playing with the ideas of for absolutely ages. Just while we've got that out, let me just explain how that's going to work. So that sits on top of there. So you've got the groove, so you can paint those, glue them together, and then you take your shrine piece, and it just literally sits in like so. So that's how you can display it that way. But I'm not going to do that. But make sure you don't decorate right down at the bottom here, because you need at least 3mm for that to be able to go in. I mean, you can paint it and then just sand it back again later if you want to, but hey ho. Right, so size of the kit when done. So 8 inches by about 6 inches. So let's just grab the ruler. So from side to side, it's almost 6 inches. Almost 6 inches by almost 8 inches in height that way. So 8 inches about that way and about 6 inches. It's actually 5 3/4. But if you use the base, then that probably, actually a bit smaller actually, but those points there, so it's about 6 inches across. Right, so what I need to do first of all, so those are the 3 bits that you're going to use for your wall hanging mechanism at the back. So what you can do, they don't need to be painted at all, they don't need to be painted one little bit. So what you can do is you can glue those together now if you want to, then put them to one side so that they're done and dusted for later when you're ready to hang your kit. So let me just grab some glue. He says, got some grab and go here, which is really good for wood. So I'm just going to put a little blob there and a little blob there, and then take the 2 squares there we go, and it doesn't matter if they're not perfectly lined up. There you go, and that's pretty much all you need to do. This glue, the grab and go, was designed for wood, so to just grab and stay in place. So those bits there are what you'll stick onto the back of your shrine like so, which gives you that 3mm gap for your picture hook to stick over. Do you get me? I'll show you again in a bit anyway. So I'm not going to need to paint those, I'm not going to need to do anything else with those, so that can get put to one side to be left to dry. So we'll come on to the actual decoration in a little while. So what I'm going to do with my front is I'm going to cover mine with paper. So let's just keep those safe to one side. So this is a set of abstract background papers. These are digi-downloads which are available on my website as well. So I think I'm going to use one of these for my background. I'd kind of decided which one I wanted to use, and I think I might have changed my mind again now. No, I think I'm going to use that one. So these can be printed onto either 8.5 by 11 or A4. You will get the full 8" by 8". I've just printed these off and left a little bit of a border just so you can see them a bit better. But yeah, these are the abstract papers which are on my website now. So again, another shameless plug. So I'll put those to one side. So as far as the paper's concerned, okay, we don't really need to go right the way down to the bottom, and we don't really need to go right the way to the top, because you've got the apex piece there that's going to sit at the top, and then you've got the piece at the bottom here that's going to sit like so, and then the star will get stuck there, and then the ickle star will sit on top like that, and then these tooth pieces can be stuck, or will be stuck, this is how I'm going to do it anyway, like that, starting at either end and then coming in and putting them each in the middles, just so that I get it sort of correctly spaced out. Easy as that. And that pretty much is how the shrine's going to look. But if you're going to do yours with the stand, just make sure you leave 3 mils for it to actually go in that bottom bit there. Okay, so don't forget to leave 3 mils. Now if you want to find out to make sure that you're leaving the right space, all you have to do is just to line up a piece of the wood, because they're all 3 mil, and draw a line, or basically put it in, take your pencil, whichever side, and then when you take it out again, you know you've got a line there that you don't cross. Easy as that. It's as that easy. Easy peasy. Right, so we're going to glue this onto there. So I need a paper trimmer, and I bet both of them are miles away. They're the other side of the room, because, you know, I always forget. I never prepare properly. It says shouting from the West Wing. There we go. Instead of the paper trimmer, let's just do it this way. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this on where I think it's going to probably look the best. Do you know, I think that will probably do it. Now what you could do is just using a craft knife, is literally just go around like so. Let me just turn that really carefully. Go that way. I think look how easy that was. And then when you lift off, your piece should fit. Don't think that's going to get covered up anyway. And you can do that with any kind of paper that you want to. So you could do it with old newspaper print, an old Sears catalogue if you want to. Bit of wallpaper, napkin, you name it. You can do whatever you like. Okay, so glue. Grab and go. I don't know if I'm going to use grab and go. I think I'm going to use spirit glue. Once more onto the breach, dear friends, other side of the room. I did a live stream the other day, on last Sunday, for a lady called Anne and her art group. Just like a little bit of I won't say a guest appearance because that sounds a bit conceited, doesn't it? But just popped in just to say hi, because a lot of them use my mission inspiration prompts in the group, so I thought I'd just pop in and say hello. And I showed them what glues and things I used, and I forgot to put it back because that's just me. So again, whatever glue you like to use, whatever floats your boat, you do you, and all those kind of sayings. Here we go. But what I like about the spirit glue is the fact that you've got a little bit of wiggle room. A tinsy bit of wiggle room. Okay, so you can go over with a brayer if you want to. Go with a cloth just to smooth it down. There we go. Okay, so that can now be put to one side, left to dry, just out of the way, and then we can bring in our other pieces, which are really easy. So now I'm going to glue these together, or paint them first and then glue them together. So what I'm going to do for this one, you can either, the base piece, you can either line it up with the bottom if you want to, or line it so it's in the middle. It really is up to you. I'm going to paint that black. I'm going to paint all these pieces black first, actually. Black, yes, black. And the star, black. The stars is black. Right, let's grab a brush. That'll do. So let's get messy with the old gesso. And if you want to paint the shrine body, then there's nothing stopping you from doing that. You don't have to cover it with paper. It is only a serving suggestion. That'll do for that one. Shift that out of the way. Again, it doesn't really make any difference what side of these you paint either. So the black is only going to be a base coat. Because I'm going to be adding some metallic layers. And it don't take long, really. But what I'll do is, just because I know this is probably going to take a while to do everything, fairly longish kind of video, is I will just either whack it on fast forward in post processing, in editing, or I'll just jump to the end, so you might just see me disappear in a sec, or you might see me going to fast forward. I don't know, depends what the whim's like when I'm doing the editing. Okay, so that's the last bit there of the black stuff. Now I was thinking, just as I was doing that, because I do that sometimes, I do think a little, it might be easier if you've got dexterity problems. It might be easier if you actually paint them in the carrier sheet before you get started. Just remember, don't go mad, because you'll have more difficulty popping them out of the sheet if it's gummed up with paint than if you've already popped them out. But like I said, it might be easier if you do them actually in the carrier sheet. So just a thought, you know, just a thought. Right, so I just have to do a quick tiddy up. We'll have a quick wash down. Get some water. Yes, it is water. There we go. And I'll be right back. Okay, so they're all dry now, so it's time to do some more gluing. So I'm just going to do a little blob of that on that section there. And don't worry, this does dry clear. But once it's grabbed, so I've just left a little bit of an overhang. You can just see there's like an equal overhang at both sides. Just like that. Don't forget we are painting this as well, but if that does offend you, just get a bit of water and just wipe it away. It won't affect anything. The glue is water based, and don't forget we are painting these again anyway. So that's that glued down, and then I'm going to do, I should have had, is that paint or is that glue? I can never remember whether this is paint or whether it's glue. I think it's glue actually, so that might, yeah, I think it is glue. I sometimes keep either the spirit glue or PVA glue in these fine point applicator bottles, but again, I've moved about a bit occasionally I do work in front of my computer, so I end up moving stuff and shifting stuff. Right, so top part of the shrine, the apex. Now a good way to do that is actually just stand it up, because you've got the flats together then. And then you can just grab your water brush like we did before, and then you can just smooth the glue out. Just like that. Or get a wet wipe. That's all you have to do really. Get a wet wipe. There you go. Easy as that, look. Just squeeze them together, and then like I said, do remember, and I've said it a couple of times already, we are going to be repainting these, so you don't have to get really precious about it. Not at all. Okay, so I'm going to glue that little star. Just there. Normally I've got some fine point tweezers, but again, I'm going to let it set just for a little while. And don't forget, there is a diamond set if you don't want to do the star. You can add like a diamond apex if the star doesn't rock your boat. Go. Okie dokes. So that's all the painted pieces. So I just need to leave those to dry for a minute or two, and then I'll be right back, which gives me a chance to finish my coffee and possibly have a cuddle with Mr. Nip. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes or so. They're all pretty much dry as they're going to get now. So I've grabbed out my metallic paints. So I've got a brass colour, Brass Monkey, and I've also got I've just had a look for my copper paint, only to find that there isn't any. So that obviously means that somebody's been in and stolen my copper paint. I wonder who that could be. So instead, what I'm going to use is I've got this one. It's called Rose Gold, which is a kind of reddish gold, which can stand in for copper. So we'll have that. But also, I've got my Kingfisher Blue. So that's going to kind of stand in a little bit for a little bit of kind of patination, if I fancy it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the rose gold first. And then, yeah, it's not really coppery, is it? There's a little bit of oranginess in there. Feels quite watery actually. Don't think I've shaken it up enough. But you can see the sparkle in there already. Let's just have a look. No. I can see the gold in it. Not enough copper though. That's okay. Right, we can make do. We can make do. There we go. Right, let's move on. So look at this brass. Brass. So these are indigo blue metallic paints. Oh, that's better. That looks better. Look at that. I may need to do a couple of coats. Only because, obviously, I'm doing it on black, but also it's wood. So, just to be sure. It's a lovely colour though. It took me a couple of years to persuade him indigo blue, because they had gold and they had silver and they had a bronze and they had copper, and I kept saying, where's the brass, where's the brass, I want a brass. And eventually they kind of caved in and said, alright, well, how do we make brass then, what kind of colour should brass be? I said, well, brass is kind of like a gold colour, but there's also a slight hint of like green to it. So they went backwards and forwards to their paint manufacturer saying, you know, I saw about half a dozen different kind of mixes of the brass before we settled on this one. Now originally I wanted to call it brass neck, which is kind of like a Yorkshire saying for if somebody's got cheek, or you know, somebody's cheeky, so he's got brass neck. But they eventually settled on brass monkey, because obviously brass monkey is also a kind of a slang for it's very, very cold. I'm not quite sure the full saying, to be honest. Right, I'm painting this star brass, even though it's going to get stuck onto there, because what I want to do is I want to dry brush once it's dry, and a bit of a contrast. So I'm also going to do all these little brass teeth. See, now that you've actually painted them black, it's very, very forgiving. And may just take a couple of coats, but we'll see. I might be happy with just one. Who can say? Okie dokes. Right. Let's have some drying time and then I'll be right back. Let's give me a chance to wash my fingers as well, since I've got brass paint all over them. See you in a little while. Okay, so I'm now going to just glue on these teeth onto the base piece. So what I'm going to do is, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do both sides now. For this, I always think it's more fun if you don't get them all perfectly aligned, because it gives it a kind of vintage, kind of old, decrepit look. Alright, so place one now in the middle, or what we think is the middle, just do it by eye. Like so, then take the next one and place that in the middle of that section. And then do the same again at that side. And like I said, you can, if you want to, just make them a bit higgledy-piggledy so that they're not all perfectly straight or lined up. And then you should have 4 kind of gaps left, which then should be fairly easy. Little blob straight in the middle. Little blob. Because you've got a little bit of wiggle room with this glue, I'm using spirit glue. And then you just put a bit in the middle there. Doesn't matter whether you actually put it on the wood or you actually put it on the piece. There we go. There we go. Okay, so push that to one side and bring the roof bit back in, and then we can do a blob of glue on the star. And that can sit right on top, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to leave those to dry for a minute or two, and then I'll be back. Okay, so while they're kind of finishing off drying, I've printed off from my collection a few bits and pieces, some steampunk wings, I've got a dartboard, and I've got one of my kind of vintage gents that that I've colorized, but done it on the computer. So actually that image does not look good at all. That's pixelated beyond belief. Okay, so I'll just quickly cut all these bits out. And then I'll join you when everything's cut out, and then we should, in theory, like the Avengers, be ready to assemble. Okay, that's everything cut out, so I now want to just whip around everything with a little bit of distress ink. So vintage photo still missing, so we'll just have to use brush corduroy. Which just as good. Okay, I don't really need to do that bottom bit because that's going to be covered up. So I added the flaming heart onto his jacket. He was wearing a little kind of like buttonhole, I think, and I didn't really like it. And I thought, do you know what, just to make it a bit more interesting. So that's the thing, you see, when you can stick anything you want on these things. You could do a little flower or a little pearl or anything like that. As I've said many times, you're the captain of your own ship. You can set whatever course you want. So wherever you end up, whatever journey you want to go on, whatever destination you want to do, it's entirely up to you. And of course you can use angel wings, butterfly wings, bird wings, angel wings. Give him a hat. You name it, you can add whatever you want to these things. That's the beauty of doing these kind of little collages. Okay, so I think we're going to be... Oh no, I'm going to need that again, aren't I? Distress ink. Right, so they're all ready to be glued. Let's bring the base back in again. So what I've done with this is I've already gone round with an emery board just to kind of remove any paper that's gone over. So what I want to do is just give it a little bit of a distress. Just that this bit's going to be covered because we're going to be gluing the eaves and things onto it, but I just want to grab a little bit in that corner and then down the edges just to age it a tad, just because we can. Alright. Having so much fun with this one. Right, before... Actually no, I'm going to glue this on first. So, yeah, that's holding on. So let's glue these together. Okay, so I'm only using the spirit glue mainly because it's clear, I've got a bit of wiggle room, and also if it squidges out I can just rub it off. That's the only kind of reason. So let's drop that down into place. So that should there we go, so that's that on there, and then we'll do the same thing at the bottom, just so you can see what I'm doing. and then stick that down and make sure that's equal. And colours are working really well together. Me likey. I'm liking that. Okay, so just leave that for a few minutes and then we can come back and then start adding in our bits. Ah, excellent. Okay, so everything's had a chance to stick down now, so it's now time to glue down our shrine pieces. So I'm just going to use the bigger tube of glue, mainly because it's just a larger area. So I've gone for the dartboard. You could use any kind of circular thing if you wanted to. You could use a clock, a record, you know, an LP, if you remember such things. Anything you like, really. So for the wings, I'm going to do a bit of an overlap because I don't want them to go out too far, but I think that's probably going to be about right. So if I actually follow the line of that curve there, yeah, I think that's going to work. So I'll do that first one. So I'll line that end up there with the 3. And I'm remembering not to go right the way to the edge of the wing, because that's going to be off the paper, it's going to be off the board. So we said 3 to 16, like so. And then I'll do the same again at this side. And then 3, yeah, that's probably a bit further than, no, actually that's probably going to work, that's going to do it. Don't mind that. Yes, perfect. Perfect. So yes, so like I said at the beginning of the video, I have Terry Garrett to thank for this, for the inspiration. I must admit, like I said, I have played about with this for a few months and done different variations on the actual shrine kit. I did a different variation for our friends at Indigo Blue, which they've done in classes. And that, not quite finished yet though, not quite finished yet. Love it, absolutely love it. Right, I've got this Kingfisher blue, so what I want to do now is just grab that small brush. Let's do a little bit of dry brushing. So let's just add some of that patination. I mean, I know it's not verdigris because it's not copper, but you know, artistic license and all that. Just adds in a bit of extra dimension. Of course, it just adds in a little bit of age. That's it. I think that actually, as far as the blue's concerned, yeah, I see I've gone a bit too far there. So let's just give that a wipe off before it dries. But I can always go back in again with the brass if I think I've gone too far, which I think I have. So that is easily remedied. Take a bit of the brass. And like we say, least said, soonest mended. Quick clean, right, I'll have a quick dry, finish off my coffee, and then we'll be back to stick the hanger on the back. Okay, so it's had a few minutes to dry now. So we can flip that over. So what I've already done is I've taken a ruler and I've just marked at 5.5 centimeters because it's like 11 centimeters wide there. I've just got a halfway point between the two, just so I know where to hang or to put the hanger. So I'll just drop some glue on. I can hear Mr. Nip behind me. Hello, darling. Oh, both of them. They're both here. Right, I'm going to do it so it's fairly towards the top, so that it remains kind of bottom heavy. That way it won't stick out too far from the wall. So I'm hoping you can see that. I've got that pretty much in the middle and level. So I need to leave that for a minute or two. So obviously I think the puppies need to go out for a toilet break. So I'll leave that for a bit and then I'll be back. Okay, so that's now dry and will not move. So just to finish off, I wanted just to pull in one of those Tim Holtzy chipboard kind of things. Just give it a little bit of a grunge round the outside, just to age it a little bit. I've also, just using the Distress ink, I've just gone over the metallic paint just to kind of warm it up a little bit, just so it's got that kind of sepia tone to it. We've already gone around the figure as it is. So what did I do with my glue? There it is, it's lying on its side. So I'm just going to take a small amount, just put a thin bead right right the way through the middle. And that should do it. And I'm just going to, he says, dropsy. Just put that there. Okay, so we'll give that a second or two to dry, and while we're doing that, I'll get this put in the wall and then we'll get ready to hang it. And there we have it, all done and on the wall in my little gallery. So there you go, I've just taken it down off the wall just to finish off. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this home shrine, this little icon, this tutelary deity. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friend, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.